Hi, I'm Dr. Kimberlee Mendoza, and this is another episode of Blue Fire Faith. Thank you so much for coming here today. We are going to talk about developing a mind of Christ. What does that look like? Anybody who was around in I think it was either the late 90s or early 2000s, we had the WWJD bracelets. What would Jesus do? And the concept behind it, it was cool, to think what I'm doing, the attitude I'm having, is this really like what Christ would do? And the reality is I think it just became kind of a cliche and not necessarily what really getting into the true heart of who Jesus was. Philippians 4:8 says, "Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything in excellence or praiseworthy, think of such things." And I have a quote: "God changes caterpillars into butterflies and sand into pearls and coal into diamonds. By using time and pressure, He is working on you too." Now, the quote, what does that have to do with, having the mind of Christ, is that it takes time. It's not something you're going to do instantly. It takes time and spending time with God and getting to really know Him to learn how to actually have a transformed mind where you start to think the way Christ would think. But I have a breakdown of kind of the way that Jesus, what his actions were, how he thought, and how he processed in the Gospels. So the first one I have is he loved and cared for everyone. We see that all through his ministry, where he would stop and he would heal people and he would let the children come into him. And he cared for even people that were, outside his religion. And even, women at the time were kind of lesser thought of, and he spent time with them as well. And he cared about even the prostitutes and the tax collectors. And so we know that he loved and cared for everybody. So that's number one. And he said that that's the greatest commandment, is love God and love others. So we know that that's probably the most important aspect. And we know that also it says God is love. And if Jesus is God, then Jesus is love as well. And so he would want us to portray that. So that's the number one thing. He values all people, and that kind of goes along with that, but we do see that. I even have a bunch of scriptures: Mark 1:41, Matthew 9:39, Matthew 14:14, John 3:16, Romans 5:8 through 9. If you want to go and look all those up, you'll get a good idea of how he loved everyone. And then Luke 19:1 through 10, John 8:1 through 11, John 4, Luke 17:11 through 19, Luke 7:36 through 50, Mark 5 through 21:43. Stop the tape, write those down, and go look them up, and you'll see how he valued different people. The next one was he forgives everyone, even those who hurt him. On the cross, it was important to him to ask God to forgive them, right? Meaning us. And so even while he's hurting, he is forgiving those people that are hurting him. That's a pretty powerful thing to do. It's very hard to do. I don't know about you, but when someone's hurting my feelings, it's really hard for me to forgive them right then, right? But that is an attribute of his. The next one is he got alone to pray often, so time spent with the Father was invaluable to him. And so we need to take that on. We need to understand that that's important, and that's something we should be doing if we really want to be like Christ, is getting alone where it's just us and God. And that's something we see all through Scripture, that he saw the importance of just getting alone. If you do not have a prayer closet or a place that you can go, you need to find one. Or even if it's on your way home from work, you have 10 minutes where you pull off to the side of the road and you just spend time with God, if that's all you can do. But you've got to have a time with just you and God, and you can't always have everybody speaking or pouring into your life and never have time alone with God. So that's your challenge, is to do that. Your whole challenge for this week is to see how many of these things you can do that are like Christ. Because if you want to, what would Jesus do? These are the things that he would do. The next one is he quoted Scripture often in various situations, showing that he read his word. So we know that he knew Scripture very well, and he would quote it all the time in different situations. And so I think that's really important too, is that we know our word, that we are studying Scripture, that we are learning it and all that. And then the last one I have here is he sought to do God's will no matter what it cost him. And, we see that in the Garden of Gethsemane when he's praying, not my will, but your will, Lord. I would love to be freed from this. However, if this is what you want me to do, this is what I'm going to do. And so no matter what, we follow God's will. So I wrote down here, I'm just going to read this to you. It's just easier that way. It says, we love people. We value all people, even if they look different and don't run in our circles. We forgive people, even people who hurt us. We break away by ourselves to pray often. We read our Bibles daily so that we know the word. And above all, we seek to do God's will alone. This is how we develop a mind of Christ. We follow his example and do what he would do. Love, pray, and seek. All right, that's it for me today. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe down below. Share these videos. You know, there might be somebody out there who needs to hear them, and that's why I'm doing them. All right, take care. Take care. Have a good day.